Good afternoon, almost. It's almost 12 o'clock my time here. Welcome back to another video of Talking Life. I think it's been at least 2 weeks since I've released a video. Just haven't felt the inspiration, or I guess I haven't had the thought downloads or just new information that I wanted to share. I don't like to get repetitive. I've seen a lot of people in the how-to community, spiritual community, motivational community that, they post videos every single day, and that's totally cool. It's a great approach. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. I just don't like to get repetitive, and a lot of those vloggers, social media people, it works for them, and that's cool. So I just don't like to get, like I said, I don't like to get repetitive, and here I'm repeating that. Because when things get repetitive, I feel like you're doing this, what is it, a means to an end? I think that's how it goes. Meaning it's like, all right, if I do this, I will get this. Meaning, if I post content, a video on YouTube every single day to get the algorithm, this and that, and I'm doing it and saying the same things over and over and over again just so I get the numbers, then I think maybe the first few videos you really feel it, but then I think it's just going to become inauthentic. At least for me. I personally just like showing up when I'm, reading something while having some coffee or seeing somebody's video, and then it makes me think of something that happened a few days ago, a few years ago, and then I have a lot of realizations, a lot of downloads, and I want to share them because I feel like it's important. So there's the intro. So a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks. It's been great. It's been there's been some tough moments, but lots of lessons already learned in a very short amount of time, which I'm so grateful for. Without giving away too much information, this could deal. So if you're somebody who owns a business, who's an entrepreneur, who social media expert, or trying to do more on social media to build your business, your online presence, this would be for you. But this will also be just for a grandma sitting at home and wanting to see her family, and maybe her family doesn't come over too often, or they don't talk that often, and they feel like, do they actually care? So I think it spreads broadly across the spectrum here of people. This is how I talk when I haven't when I haven't had my second full cup of coffee yet. This is very raw. Okay, so I was asked this weekend by someone. Well, I brought up a book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If you haven't read this book, I think it's almost 100 years old. Probably not that old. I think it's like 75 years old. And it's still one of the highest rated books to read now. It's fantastic. The things, like, you'll see all these things that I underlined and all of that, like highlighted. There's so much to learn. And the greatest thing that I took from it, and someone asked me, like, what's the one thing that you remember from this book that you think is so valuable? And for me, it was, I forgot which chapter, but Dale talks about walking into somebody's office where he wanted to pitch. He wanted to sell him some product. I forgot what it was. It may have been a specific kind of wood for the company. I don't know. But the first things that he started to do is, just, as he walked into the office, he started to admire everything in the room. The CEO. He started to recognize how the CEO liked to, I guess, decorate his office, the things he had, the photos, the little trinkets, maybe there were trophies, but he looked around, like even at the chair, and he's like, wow, that looks like a really comfortable chair. Now, what's the name of it? I might have to get one for myself, because I'm looking for a better, like, I'm in the chair like 8 hours a day. I want something more comfortable. Essentially, what he says is, when you take notice in other people, it's a way of giving to the other, making it about them. That's when if you're trying to sell something, or if you're trying to get something from them. You make it all about them. Now, I was told, well, isn't that a form of like manipulation? And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it depends on where it comes from. I think at first, at least when I first read this book and started implementing that, I could see where, yeah, this definitely can be used as a form of manipulation. And look, if you got to do that, you got to do it. I'm not going to judge you, but eventually I think it's going to eat at you. So, but when you realize that everybody is pretty much, selfish in terms of they think from their own perspective, it's natural. But when you start thinking about the other person and what they enjoy, what they want to talk about, what they care about, and you put your stuff in the back seat, because we always most want to shout about the things they're doing, and as soon as they hear somebody else is doing something else, they go, oh well, I'm doing this, yeah, oh that's so awesome, that's so cool, I'm doing this, and this is yeah, like they get right into it. It's almost like, okay, it's like you're pretending like you're an actor, and this person has a monologue, and it's like you just have a few lines right after. It's like, please, all right, finish this monologue. I want to say my line. I want to say my line. It's kind of the same way. And then when you're doing that, you're not really listening. You're not being present with that person. So, and to move forward with this, it's, I was out and about this weekend, and especially because of the last year, I've learned to kind of become an observer instead of like, it might sound a little esoteric, but like instead of being in my body, it's almost kind of like stepping out of my body, like stepping back and seeing the whole picture, just as an observer, not getting involved. It's kind of just like trying to paint that picture, and you realize a lot of stuff. You pick up on a lot of stuff, and I saw somebody with a shirt. Maybe I should have worn it for this video, but I saw this guy with a shirt said Bubbles and Brews, and I was like, oh man, like I was like, hey, did you do that contest challenge thing this year? He's like, oh yeah, we did. We went here, this and that. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I got the new shirt. This one looks really cool too. I'm like, what spots did you go to? And he went along this and this and that. And I just generally cared because I was like, oh, somebody who also did that. And he mentioned how him and his wife, they have their normal jobs, but their hobby is to they have a website and I think a social media like Instagram page where they go around and check out local spots, whether it's a brewery or restaurants or fitness studio, maybe stuff like that. And they talk about it. They basically blog and vlog. So blog and vlog. Well, it's good to be a dork. And who I was with took an interest as well, and seemed like she cared, this and that. And there was a moment where they gave their business card and said like, oh, we're doing this event in the next week, this and that. It'd be really cool if you come check it out. Which I think is great. It's great hustling. It's great networking. But to me, it seemed a little premature. The guy and the woman, the husband and wife that were being spoken to, they weren't there yet. It's kind of like if in business, it's like knowing when to make the sale. There's also the whole, the KISS method, which is keep it simple, stupid, or there's like at some point, like you stop talking as well, like, shh, okay, you're about to make the sale. That happens, that moment was not there. And I just took notice of that. And it kind of reminded me just that you've been that person, right? You've been on the receiving end. Somebody, you're walking down the street, whether it's in New York or wherever, and people are trying to hand out flyers and that. It's like, hey, are you interested in this? It's like, Most people are like, nope, nope, sorry, no, 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 no. It's because they know what you want. They're only speaking to you to get something out of you, and nobody wants to deal with that. It's like, no, fuck you. Like, you don't know the kind of day that I'm having. Again, remember, we're seeing things from our own perspective. But when you're that person handing out the flyers or handing out the business card, you have to remove your main objective and make it about the other person. Maybe you see that person walking, 20 feet away, and you start smiling at them. Maybe you wave, because then maybe they think, oh, do I know that person? Do they know me? Huh? And then it's like, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? Beautiful day, right? Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's pretty nice. Just went grab some coffee at Starbucks, and now just kind of listening to music and just taking in moments. Like, yeah, I love doing that too. I do that, usually do the Monday mornings or whatever. It's just really soothing, and this and that. And then the person might say like, oh, what are you doing? I'm just working at this job, handing out these flyers, and it's kind of tough to, just trying to get people in the doors here. COVID, it's been kind of tough, this and that. Then it builds that conversation, and that person who you don't know, doesn't know you, they start taking an interest, and like, they're like, oh, I hear you, man. Yeah, I used to do that. Maybe they say, I used to do that 5 years ago. Had to let go of that, but hey, look, more power to you. Even if you don't make the sale, or they don't take a flyer, they might remember you. And then if they walk by the next day, then it's a conversation. It's an ongoing thing. That's building relationships. Business is about building relationships. Life is about building relationships. It's all about relationships. It doesn't have to be romantic to be a relationship, or a friendship to be a relationship. We are all connected. You cannot succeed in life without the help of other people, without other people being involved. That doesn't mean that you're codependent. It means that there are people out there that can connect you to the right people, that will bring you opportunities, or when you create your own opportunities, they might be your customers. You cannot succeed without other people. So when you step back and you realize, where am I coming from? Am I coming from a place of ego, from fear? If I don't get enough people in my business, if I don't sell enough of my product, I'm gonna fail. And whoever from high school, from my previous job, from my job that I left, all those people that said you'll never make it, your parents, your siblings, who you feel like doubt you, and you could see it in their eyes that they doubt you. Is it coming from there? I can't say yes. I can say from my own experience that yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I met an actor this weekend too, who he looked very familiar. Like, I walked by, I was like, he looks really familiar. I gotta talk to him. Like, it just seemed like I've worked with him. Not like, oh, I think I saw him on TV. It's just, I think I worked with him. So I'm like, he was with his friend. I'm like, hey, sorry to interrupt. I feel like we've worked together. And he asked, what do you do? This and that. It's a film industry. Eventually, oh, I'm an actor. And, he brought up, oh, I've been on The Walking Dead. I've been on Cobra Kai. And then started to make some sense. I'm like, oh, I've definitely seen this guy on The Walking Dead. And I've taken a pause because I'm thinking about Hollywood and the typical actors that you meet out there. Even, I wouldn't say directors, but some producers. Basically, that mentality is like, what can I get out of you? Hey, again, there are a lot of successful people who do it that way. And they're going to learn lessons as well. We all are meant to learn lessons. So, but I had no interest in finding out. Well, I asked him. Well, he asked me what agency I'm with, and then I asked who he was with, and his agency on paper would look like a superior agency. They're older and they're more renowned. But I had no interest in like, ooh, let me try to get his card so that I can get into the agency, so I can get better opportunities. It's like, no, I'm grateful for my opportunities. My agent, she and her son have been working hard the last I think 5, 6 years it's been, or almost. No, I'm grateful. I just want to talk to this person because it's another actor. It's another person who has gone through the stuff that I'm going through for a longer time, maybe 10 years more. And it's like, we connect, and the stuff that even though we're, I think, 12 years apart, age-wise, it's like we got it. We understood each other. And there was just that conversation. There was no exchange of social media. There was no exchange of numbers. It was just really great to chat with you, really great to meet you. And, I wish you all the best. This year's going to be wonderful. And that's it. That's support. Like, that's building relationships. I don't know if I'm going to run into him again. I might, whether on some project or just on the street again. It's about building relationships. That's why I don't have business cards. And a lot of people will say, well, that's not the right approach. And I'm like, well, I kind of like it. If the person is interested enough, they're going to want to get in contact with you. If they're whatever opportunity, whether they find you attractive and they want to take you out, or if it's a business thing or whatever it is, they're going to want to contact you. And now, because of our phones, in less than 30 seconds, they can just go on Instagram, they could go on Facebook, boom, add, send a message, so quick. You don't need a business card to do this stuff anymore. You don't. And because I would even say that 80% of the people that you give your business card to, that will either collect dust somewhere in some drawer or it goes into the trash. I would say 2 minutes to 3 hours after you give it to them. It's just the harsh reality. Now, this is turning into the longest video I've been making. Awesome. One more scenario. I spoke to somebody this week, catching up, really good old friend of mine, and was giving me some updates on something he's been putting together, trying to raise some money, this and that. Asked him how it's going, and he told me that he's been. I don't want to give too many specifics, but essentially, was told that people's Facebook, he was offering people to use their Facebook account for a day or whatever, however long, to reach out to their friends for this, not promotion, but just spread news about this fundraiser that he has, and he'd compensate them for using their account. And guess what? It's done very well, and I'm happy. I'm happy for them. Like, they had a big goal, like one where it's like, will we actually reach it? It's looking like they're going to reach it, and that's freaking great. It's really, really great. I actually got one of these messages, and it was from somebody who I had worked with 3 or 4 years ago on a project, and he reached out saying, hey, this is this person, and we have a mutual friend named this person, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. We've met many times. We had a scene together, a long scene with improv. Like, yeah, I know who you are, and our mutual friend. Yeah, dude, I knew him before I knew you. Like, we're close friends. You know that. It was very strange. And then I found out from my friend that the other guy with this company doing this fundraiser was the one who sent out that message. And it became so impersonal because something was strange there. And it was all about getting money. It lacks, how can I say it? It's not personal. It's not personal. It's about the end result. And, when I thought about it this morning, there's a line in a Weezer song, which I think is one of their most empowering, driven songs, inspirational songs, called Represent. And I think it's, the line goes, you don't want to lie, steal, or cheat your way to the top. It's not that they were stealing. Was it cheating? Was it cheating to pretend that you're being this person so that to gain the trust of their friends, to then get money from them, is that cheating? I think it's a form of cheating. And, I try to stay away from the judgment part. This is more so just about learning about relationships, how it's going to affect the other person. Like, what if they found out? What if they found out? Guaranteed, that person would probably unfriend their friend whose account was used, for being like, yo, why? I thought that was you. I thought that was you contacting me, and I thought this was a thing you believed in, and that's why I gave you money. Then there's that, then they don't trust you anymore. Is it worth it? Sure, you can succeed. You can reach those goals, but how do you want to reach those goals? Will you feel good about the way you went about reaching those goals? Will you sleep at night months later, years later? How is it going to affect you? How is it going to affect you? See, it's like, you can also think, how is it going to affect your relationships, your friendships? That's so important, and you have to think about that. But also, how is it going to affect you? Who are you going to become because of living this way, because of making these decisions? Tony Robbins, other people have talked about this. It's, it's about reaching your potential, reaching your goals. The stuff that you've envisioned of what your life will look like in 10 years from now. When you get there, it's not as important as who you become in the process. The journey, it's so cliche. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Who do you become in the process? And you have control of who you become, and that comes down to your choices. Every last one of them, every single small choice will be the deciding factor of who you become. It's just a question you have to ask yourself. Who do I want to become in the process of this? Do I want to keep holding on to these fears for years, for decades, to reach a place where I'm going to eventually end up probably feeling lonely because my way of getting to the top was just getting my way with other people? Now, these aren't conscious thoughts. They might be. But mostly it's driven by subconscious thoughts from a place of fear. If I don't make this sale, if I don't get an extra person into my business today, an extra customer, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to meet my quota. I'm not gonna. You end up reaching a really lonely place. Now, there's a difference between being alone and being okay with it, because you've realized what groups of people you shouldn't have in your life anymore. You don't want to have in your life anymore because you feel like they kind of bring you down, or they add a little bit of negativity, or whatever it is, or they're just not there anymore. There's a difference. But to be alone because so many people along the way just stop trusting you. Now, of course, that's their own projection. That's their own, they made that choice as well. That's how they chose to see it, instead of understanding like, oh, this person's coming from a place of fear. They don't actually not care about me. They're just feeling this. And hopefully we'll all get there at a certain place like that one day. Without rambling on too much, just the question is, who do you want to become? Your dreams are important. Your goals, your aspirations, they are so important. But are they worth reaching if you lose yourself in the process? This is a message meant to be of encouragement. It's important to look inside. It's important to realize that, we do have fear in us. But guess what? It doesn't have to stay in us. You got to look inside, see where it's coming from. Say hello to it. realize it's there, and tell it, you can go now. You can leave. Thank you for being my teacher. Thank you for testing me. Thank you for the lesson. You let it go. I wish you all the best this week, this month, in your lifetime. Take care.